So today we're redoing something that I've had for almost a year. About a year ago, I put in rock lights in the truck bed, and I just wanted to clean up the wiring. I thought I could make it a little neater, and I created new 3D printed mounts. But what we're using is McTuning C2 rock lights. These are their red ones. Not using RGB or anything. This isn't something that anybody can just go out there and buy. This is custom made. I'm 3D printing, I'm soldering, cutting wires, and creating essentially a harness for myself. But if you're handy, this may give you inspiration to want to do the same thing. I'd never wanted to put LED strips on the truck bed. I'm not the biggest fan of those. I want to utilize the holes that are on the side of the truck bed to be able to mount lights inside. So I'm going to show you what I'm working with out here. I've already got the lights pretty much wired the way I want them, and I have a couple extra cables that I need to connect from the hot on the trailer hitch to the button, the switch button, and then connecting both sides together simultaneously. But let me show you what I've got so far. Right, so we're in the back of the truck. I've kind of mocked things up here just to be able to visualize it and outside of the truck rather than inside. But we're going to be utilizing these holes here to mount rock lights. I know that these are to be able to add extra attachment points or whatever. I'm sure there's a specific name for it. I'm not sure right now. But the rock lights are going to mount into that hole, and I'm going to show in a bit how they're going to be mounted. But the wire is going to run all the way back, and it's going to tap into the back rock light here. Basically made like a T connection, and then this is going to run down here to the power where there's a latching switch. Then some more wires are going to run under the truck, come to the other side, and it's going to do the same thing. And basically we're going to tap in and get power from the trailer hitch. I know that some people have tried what I did with the rear light bar, and they've had issues because they have the trailering package. I never had that on this truck, so I guess something with the trailing package doesn't let you tap into the trailer hitch. You get error messages. So just a heads up, you may have to find another hot wire if you're gonna attempt to do this. But let's show how the mount works. So it's essentially inspired by the M-LOK system on rifles, if you're familiar with rifles, and attaching accessories to them. So let me take this apart and let me show this a little better. So like I said, this is inspired by the M-LOK system for rifles. So what we have here is three pieces. We have a bolt, we have a mounting plate, and we have the M-LOK nut, if you will. And the way this works is, as you can see, there's a rounded top edge, and on the other side it's square. And then on the bottom there's a rounded and a square. What this allows you to do is place the nut in the hole, and as you rotate, the squared edge doesn't allow it to rotate anymore. It locks into place, and then you can basically thread and tighten down the mount. And then as you loosen the bolt, it'll turn left, and then you can slide the mount out. So I'm gonna put it together and show you how it works. I've got this assembled here. You can see as I turn the bolt, the nut turns. And like I said, once this turns 90 degrees, it's gonna lock, and you can keep tightening. And it essentially turns into like a self-tightening clamp. I'm gonna try to do this with one hand, but so this fits in that shape. And then we're just gonna go ahead and tighten until I feel it lock. I think I felt it lock now. I 3D printed this tool here just to help me tighten a little bit. It's got like two nubs that I can grip onto. Right there. Essentially right there, we're locked. This isn't moving anywhere. I can't pull it off. So it's a good solid surface. Now to take it off, you just loosen it. And at some point here, the nut will turn enough for me to remove it right there. See how it came out horizontal? But when it's tight, it's in this position. I'm not gonna actually be able to show the process of me mounting it to the truck bed because I need 2 hands and I don't really have anywhere to put my phone. But I've got this keeping tension here so I don't lose this wire, and this is pretty much ready to go. So you can see I've got the rock light and the wire run through that bolt and through the mounting system, and I have these 2 mounting screws that go back into the rock light. And so essentially I'm gonna place this in here, tighten that M-LOK mount, and then we'll bring the rock light up and mount that into those mounting screws. So I'll show it once I have it put together, to show the sturdiness and how clean it looks. We've got this secured, and man, it is solid. There's no give. This will not fall off. I will say the one thing is that I can't mount the screws from outside in because there's not enough room for these to pop out. So I had to go backwards, and there's a Allen hole on the other side. So when I tighten these nuts down, the screw starts spinning. So I'm gonna figure some way out. I'm gonna probably just clamp down the screw while I tighten the nut, just to get those secure. So that's the only thing that I didn't foresee happening. But man, this is solid on there. It's like it's not even budging. So now we're gonna run this wire. We're gonna put it back in here, run it all the way to here, and mount it to this other one. All right, so we got the rock lights mounted. I had to use 2 needle nose pliers to get those little washers tightened up. But man, I must say, these are solid. If something bumps into it, they're not gonna fall. They're not moving, they're not twisting. They're locked into place. So now we're going to go ahead and we're gonna mount the switch here. And I've gotta go solder a couple wires to bridge these 2 sides together and also run it to some power. All right, so I'm just gonna kind of show how I do my wiring and my soldering. I've got 2 male ends on this side of the cable, and I'm gonna add 2 females to this side. I've already kind of prepped the end of this cable. I stripped back the insulation, try to match this one. And I don't like these plastic pieces. So first thing I'm gonna do is take these off. And the way I do that is grab some of these right here. You just hold that in place. Get yourself a torch. Torch it up. Get it soft. And essentially, you just poke this through. It should pop out. Let's see. Oh, this one's being a little stubborn. Alright, we'll just pull this back. It usually just slips right out, but we'll just tear it out of there. Get this soft again. Wow, it usually slips right out. I never have to do this, what I'm doing right now. Of course, right? Essentially, all I'm trying to do is just rip the insulation off. Right there. All right. I got this piece. Let's see if the second one will be a little easier. There you go. See? See how that just popped off? I don't know why the first one gave me an issue. All right, so we've got 2 bare female connections. So I'm gonna put that to the side right now. And we're going to strip some wire here. I'll usually kind of get an idea here. I'm going to measure, probably be around right there. I got my 16, this is 16 gauge. That's pretty good. I'll match the other one to be the same. That's pretty good right there. Twist them. Twist them. Then I'll come here, I'll insert this. We'll insert this piece here. I'll give it a little crimp. Get the other piece, insert here. Okay, and we're going to crimp this right here. All right, now solder. Solder is important so that nothing comes loose here. I like to solder everything. So, soldering tips. You don't put the iron on the solder and then let it drop. What you're actually going to do is heat the surface that you want to solder, and then you let the solder flow through everything. So I'm not sure if it's going to show well on camera, but essentially we're not melting the solder and letting it drop. We're heating the point that we want to solder and then tapping the solder into it, and then it'll flow where it needs to go. So this next one, again, we're just going to heat the area that we want to solder, and then you just drop some solder in there, and you'll see it spread to all the wires. And that's it. Then we're going to add some heat shrink tubing. Obviously, I don't want to keep this stuff bare. I'm going to let this cool down so my heat shrink can have a chance to get on there. Should be pretty good. So what I do is I leave extra on the tip. I don't go flush. I leave a little extra out. So I'll slide this onto here. And like I said, I don't know if you can see that, but it's not flushed. It's got a little extra on the end. And I don't heat shrink the end here. I only heat shrink right here where it connects to the wire. And that allows overlap so that there's no exposed metal. So for example, if I grab this red one, right, when I plug this in, that overlaps and there's no bare metal. So, and I like to color code everything. It's just how I like to do my work. So I'm gonna let that go a little looser, right about there. And then we're just gonna heat shrink the wire end here. Right there is pretty good. I'll show this here. Essentially there, no exposed wire. And that's basically how I solder all my wire. I don't like the plastics. These can break off. I like to use solder that makes sure that the wire is not going to break. And I always use heat shrink. Always use heat shrink. I do not like using electrical tape. That's how you get some clean wires. We've got these two wires that I needed to. One's going to be to bridge the left side to the right side, and the other one's going to be to give it the actual power. So if I climb under here, we're gonna see this is on the driver's side. You can see this is what's gonna be connecting to the passenger side. And if we look up there, that's that T connection that I had made. So that's the rock light coming out, and the right side is going up to the front driver's side. So we're gonna essentially run it and follow this factory wiring. And then just to show, I have these ready to go. These are tapped into my trailer harness. This is gonna give me hot and ground. And then if we slide over here to where the switch is, I've already got this side connected. So these two are hot and ground for the passenger side, and then it goes up, and you can see that T connection that I made over there. So it goes directly up to the rock light and forward to the front passenger side. So now we're essentially going to my female connections here. These female ones are gonna go to the left side of the bed, and then these two male connections are going to be going to the trailer hitch power source. So let me get these connected, and then I'll show how it looks all clean and finished up. All right, everything's on, everything's working as it should be. So I'm gonna show just a quick pass through of how everything's neatly ran underneath. And I'm gonna show that they power on, and then we'll come back at night and see how this looks at night and how much it lights up the truck bed. So we did end up using some wire loom underneath to make it even more neat, but here's the finished product. So we got the lights, obviously they're on there really good, and you click the button and they turn on. So all four are working. Obviously we'll come back at night and take a look at that, but if we climb underneath, just want to show the final product. So everything here is hooked up. It's nice and neat. Got the wire loom running above the frame. There's other factory wiring that I just kind of followed and zip tied. So if we come through to the other side, we'll come in here. You can see where that zip tie back there is sticking out. That's the wire loom there following the factory wiring, and then they come out here and split. So one comes up here, it attaches to the left side, and another one comes down here and taps into my trailer harness. So I'm really happy. It was a little bit more of a mess before, and I wanted to simplify the wiring just to have it clean. But anyways, we'll come back at night and see how well this lights up the truck bed. All right, so here we've got the bed with the lights. They're all working, super bright, but they're not blinding because they're red. I got them red specifically for that reason. But you can see the switch here, it functions. You can turn it off, turn it back on. And then I'm gonna roll the tonneau cover back. Let's see what that's like with the tonneau cover on. Nothing bleeding here. Very convenient. It's come useful in I've been in a rural area where it's very dark, and these have come very useful. But yeah, I just wanted to show this little project that I was working on.